Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode.
In today's episode, in Team Season Preview 24 out of 32, I was joined by Detroit Lions fan Aaron Fletcher as we preview the team's upcoming season. Fletch discusses the loss of coordinators.
Whereas on the other side of the ball, I've been screaming and saying Aaron Glenn is not a good coordinator.
Fletch also discusses the return of Aidan Hutchinson.
Only a few of them exist in the NFL at any given time, and I truly believe that on his day he's up there in that conversation with every single one of them.
And Fletch predicts the team's overall end-of-season record in our win, loss or tie segment. Hope you all enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, here to preview another team's season preview. We are well over halfway along our way to getting all 32 teams in the NFL. We're on the final stretch, the final week of recording, and with me today, the team we're covering is the Detroit Lions, and our guest returning to the show is, as ever, when it comes to the Detroit Lions on this podcast, Mr. Aaron Fletcher. Fletch, how are things? How are you?
All good, mate. I'm all good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Can't complain, really. I mean, it's getting to that point now where we are, as I said before, we are well into the season previews. I believe we've got about 9 or 8 left to record. We've got many teams, like the Jets, the Bengals, the Colts, the Texans, the Bucks, the Falcons, and there's others I've forgotten. But we're well on the way. We recorded the Carolina Panthers last night, so this came out a day before. For those who are listening now on the podcast feed or wherever you listen or watch this podcast, so it'll be nice to get it finished because it'll mark our 4th year, I believe, of doing these season previews. So we another year of an achievement, another year where we can sit back and say we've done it and spend 2 weeks without recording a single podcast.
Mate, it's one hell of a mountain to climb, and you have absolutely smashed it, mate. It's no easy feat, and but it's fun. It's fun, and just a reminder that football is so close to being properly back, just so close.
Oh, we are well into the sort of end of the off season now, and the good thing about doing these season previews all these years is that you do get to have people on who you've got to know for years. Like there's many people who've been in this podcast all 4 seasons, and there's some like yourself that've been on a few years. So it's you build those connections up, and it's it does make for good episodes. And even all the ones we've had this year that have been new. Actually, no one's been new. Actually, now I think about it, there's a couple new ones planned to come on in future episodes, but even the ones that we on just once before, it works out well. As well as we're going into the NFL, I mean, the college season's back, and you were very happy, I saw in your video, to announce the news that your team, your college team, Michigan, are going to be playing in Germany next year. How exciting is that?
Let's go! Geblau. So I've been learning some of the German lingo. Got Geblau, which is German for go blue. I learned one other German phrase, which, to keep it a family-friendly show and keep it PG, I will not say on this podcast, even in German. But yeah, really excited. The only, problem is it's a week 0 game against Western Michigan. So same weekend as Dublin means I have to make a choice. It's not a difficult choice. My college football team is playing in Germany, but it's still a choice that I don't want to have to make. But more importantly, I think right now is if I can get my Aer Lingus app up, and it'll tell me that, in 2 weeks today, day of recording, I'll be at this moment in time in Liverpool, staying at Mrs. Fletcher's friend's house before we get up first thing in the morning and fly out to Dublin on the Friday for week 0 this year. So we are so close. Even my Aer Lingus app is now telling me, like, come on, mate, so close. You're flying out very, very soon. Get very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, exciting times. I mean, that's when I actually first met you in person, was at the college games.
Yes.
I believe, if I'm right, it was right by Temple Bar. It was in that area of Dublin. It was, it wasn't even. I think we were messaging each other. Same with Paul Redmond from Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Constantly messaging each other, trying to find out where are you, where are we meeting up. And then this year, I saw you just walk past me randomly, and I sort of shouted for you, and we met up. So, no, it was a good day. Obviously, I said before in this podcast, sadly this year not going to, but that is down to not my own fault. I was bought Coldplay tickets without realizing what weekend it was, and at this point, when you're gifted tickets that are worth a lot of money, you can't really say no, especially to potentially your future in-laws. So it's not what I want to mess up. And also,
just a reminder: don't take the head of HR with you. Apparently, that's a problem thing with going to Coldplay concerts is getting caught with your head of HR. So just make sure you don't do that. Heads up before you do. 2 weeks to go.
I actually warned. I was actually with my girlfriend's parents last weekend. I was warning them just when you go to Coldplay, make sure you hide all future or potential infidelities. But where am I going with this? So yeah. The Coldplay thing threw me off. I'm surprised that they've got 2 games on the same weekend. I mean, we've never had international series in the NFL where there've been games on on the same weekend, and I don't know why this is. Because you think trying to grow a sport, especially at the college level in Europe and the UK, you don't want to be sitting there and making people pick between games. Obviously, I'm guessing it'd make it easier to buy tickets because you've got 2 games rather than 1 game that same weekend. But obviously, some people like myself, it was a choice of my college team, which is the Gators, or not my college team. I would absolutely that, and I think that would have made it harder to say no to the college game this year if it was the case where the Gators were playing. But I think for those who maybe are neutrals, that that want to do both. It just seems like are they the same day? But it just seems like a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, it will be. Or at least as far as we know, it's week 0. It could end up happening. I mean, it could end up happening on, say, the Sunday, which if that gets announced that it's week 0, but to not coincide with the Dublin game, we'll play it at 5 p.m. on the Sunday. 5 p.m. GMT on the Sunday, then I'd check up on me within like a few hours of that, because I will be making that request to Mrs. Fletch but we could fly from Dublin to Frankfurt that night or that morning and still make both games. I might not live that one down, but if needs must. But yeah, if it's the opportunity between, look, at the end of the day, for me, it's the opportunity between my college team that I've now followed for about 10 years or Bill Belichick in UNC, with all due respect to the GOAT coach anyway, the GOAT NFL coach. I'm taking it to, I'm going watching Sharon Moore and the Wolverines and whatnot. But I think for me, I think it's a bit of one of them where like the capacity of Aviva Stadium's, what is it, 45,000, 46?
I don't know actually what the capacity. I want to say it's between 50 and 60,000, but I don't actually know.
It's around I think it's around the 45,000 mark. So if you've got a limited number of opportunities to go and watch a game because the NFL, they're playing, if they're playing in Dublin like they are this year, they're playing at Croke Park, which is a humongous amount of tickets in comparison to Aviva Stadium. If you want to play in London, they're not playing it anywhere daft. They're playing it at Wembley and they're playing it at Spurs, which is gone 60,000 capacity. Multiple games. So I think there's got that in the sense of like you now can roughly about, I think it's 55,000 in Frankfurt. So you get about 100,000 opportunities to go and watch a game in Europe that week. But there's the way it works is really weird in college football. So the reason there's a week 0 is because you technically can't play before Labor Day. The college football season is not allowed to start on home soil properly on Labor Day or before Labor Day. And one of the ways to get around it is by traveling to Dublin, and you get off off US soil. Same with Hawaii. Hawaii tend to play a home game on that week 0 because again you come off mainland US. I can't remember the exact rule, but it's something to that ilk of not being able to play on mainland US before Labor Day. So that I think also plays into a factor. If you've only got so many opportunities to play a college football game, and those mid-season games mean way too much. Whereas in the NFL, it's slightly different. But those mid-season games, those October games are it's a lot with studying plus, uprooting a whole team in a really important, really big game when your conference games are in play. Logistically, it's really difficult as well in comparison to the NFL to get them mid-season.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting for all college fans. I mean, there are people like you who live and breathe college football way more than I do. I must be honest. I am repeating myself here because I say all the time that I don't watch college football anywhere near as enough as NFL. But if you are into college football like yourself, many other friends of the show like Freddie Harper Davis, Rory Joe Daniels, many other people who listen to the podcast, I know that are into it as well.
Yeah,
have that sort of weekend, literally season openers in European soil. It's fantastic, and yeah, I'm still waiting for the day they bring the Gators to Dublin or Germany. But no, I think, or even teams like Ohio State or Alabama, for example, or Texas Longhorns, and you got Matthew McConaughey there in Aviva Stadium. I mean, that'd be something that I think would be amazing. And I think that the dearest thing you've had is probably Notre Dame in terms of the Rudy connection, and that's one of the best films. Probably personally my second favorite NFL film behind Remember the Titans. So yeah, it's an exciting time for college football fans, and also an exciting time for Detroit Lions fans after an impressive 2024 season where he did finish with 15 wins. In terms of the ins and outs of the off season, you re-signed the likes of Dan Skipper, Tim Patrick, also Marcus Davenport, Derek Barnes. You did also add in free agency the likes of DJ Reed, Kyle Allen, Rocky Sin, Avonte Maddox, and then also in draft you took the likes of Tyreek Williams, Ohio State defensive tackle, 28th overall, which might be a bit controversial for some Michigan fans. Georgia guard Tate Ratledge, 57th overall, as well as Isaac Tesla, wide receiver out of Arkansas. And apologies, Isaac, I've probably really butchered your name there. As well as Miles Frazier, Ahmed Hassanine, Dan Jackson, and Dominic Lovett. And then turns out you did lose both John Kaminsky and Frag Rankno to retirement. You released the likes of Zadarius Smith, Jalen Reeves-Mapin, Antoine Green, and Abraham Beauplan. And then finally, you did lose also the likes of Kevin Zietler, Jonah Williams, and Carlton Davis, as well as Ifito Melifonwi, and also Michael Badgley and Teddy Bridgewater. Fletcher, a long list of ins and outs when it comes to players. Your take on your team's off-season as a whole?
I think one of the biggest questions I think we all remember going out of last season was, two of the biggest questions were injuries, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, and the struggles of our first round pick last year, Terry and Arnold, and how there's just some questions over those DBs. The defensive line was not a question. Our linebackers never really posed a question. It was just the DBs and mostly just the rookie. And we definitely addressed that. Losing Carlton Davis wasn't anyone's favorite thing to do, but bringing in someone like DJ Reed, I think, is absolutely an upgrade. Not necessarily in terms of outright talent, but he's younger, on about the same deal, if not slightly cheaper. but very similar, if not the same, in talent. It's a much better situation to be in. So I think we've definitely showed up a little bit more of our defensive backs. Losing Frank Ragnar was a really tough one, especially because it came so late in the off-season. I know it wasn't, it's not like it happened within a couple of days of us talking here in early in August, but it felt like it was after the draft. It was in July. Felt like really late in the off-season, and Kevin Zietler. So it does feel like we've regressed a little bit on the O-line. There are some things that we're moving around apparently on the O-line, which I'm sure we'll get into very soon. But definitely shored up fortunately shored up a bit of the DB room. The O-line room has had to have a bit of a funny turn, I guess. Bringing someone back like Tim Patrick has been fantastic. I really wanted him to come back. He was a brilliant wide receiver 3 for ours last year, and he really filled. I feel he struggled a bit, I think, early on last year, but once him and Goff kind of got going, it became the Josh Reynolds type that we'd had for a couple of years beforehand, where you're in a tight spot, you need to hit a tall, big-bodied wide receiver. Tim Patrick's the guy in it, and the trust's there. The D-line, though, is one where I do feel like the addition of Tyleik Williams, he's not we don't say he's an Ohio State D-lineman anymore. He's not allowed to be. He's just a Detroit Lion. It's a fantastic addition to the interior. Most of us, including myself, wanted an edge throughout the draft. But at the end of the day, I'm going to hold my hands up here and say I've questioned Brad Holmes before and been horribly wrong. I'm not going to do it again. If Brad Holmes thinks that's the best decision for the Lions, that's the best decision for the Lions, and I'm rocking with that. He was fantastic all year last year and the year before with Tyleik Williams. So very happy with that. Losing to Darius Smith hurt a little bit. He really seemed to ingratiate himself to Detroit and the people of Detroit. His girlfriend lives in Detroit now, and that's been a tough one. It always kind of felt like he's probably going to come back and they're going to work something out. It still hasn't happened. What I'm hearing at the moment is that, Brad Holmes has been saying, look, they are in touch with his agent. They are trying to make something happen. He hasn't signed with anyone yet. So hopefully he does come back and we get a bit more assurance on the D-line. But I don't think anything crazy's happened. Nothing that you really look at, I think, and go, whoa, that's horrible. Apart from Frank Ragnar, maybe. And Zietler was a little bit of a gutting one, but yeah, nothing that I think is overly crazy. Just talent in, talent out. It happens. The only other thing I'll say, I think, on the offseason would be that Isaac Tesla, who's been so far looks really, really, really good. Apparently grew up a Lions fan as well, which was really fun. He did when they do the pre-draft visits to franchise, he turned up in his own Lions jersey with Tesla on the back. Which sounds really cheesy, but I don't think he did it for any other franchise. He didn't turn up to the Dolphins with a Tesla on the back and whatnot. He just did that for the Lions. But he's been lighting it up in preseason so far. He looks really, really good and a really good value pick for the third round of the draft. So, yeah, I think we've got slightly better. I don't think we've got. I can't turn around and say, look, we've really bolstered up this exact thing that was a huge weakness, but we'll see. I don't think we got worse.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned your line there. I mean, a lot of changes. I mean, you've now got to play, I'd say 1.5 rookie, because you've got Tate Ratledge there playing at right guard, and obviously he is a rookie. Mentioned him earlier. Also, you've still got Graham Glasgow, Taylor Decker, and Penny Sewell, but Christian Mahogany is playing at left guard, or projected to start at left guard according to the depth chart on ESPN, and he is someone that just started one game last year, had injury problems when he first joined the team, was activated in October and only played 7 games. So he's basically a rookie 2.0. But I think, with these two players leaving, with the kind of expectation that the Lions have around them now, it's a big ask for them, and a lot of it's a giant shoes to fill when it comes to replacing those two players.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I've heard, again, they're moving Graham Glasgow to centre because he wasn't very good last year, and most Lions fans will tell. I'm pretty sure Graham Glasgow himself will tell you. Playing right guard was he played right guard. He was a bit of a problem last year. He wasn't great. A lot of the pressures that were kind of coming through. Look, Penasor's a beast, but he can't man mark two people on every single game, every single snap, and making up for whatever Graham Glasgow does wrong. So these are certain things that, like, having him move to centre and perform really well is really helpful. And like I say, seeing Tate Ratledge, seeing the new guys come through. But what I think is what you've got there is you've got Graham Glasgow at centre, but you've also got, with Panay and Taylor on either side, at least you've still got some of that steady foundation to the O-line. It's not a complete overhaul. You're not getting the most important spots on the center, but your two most important spots on the O-line are not being replenished. So hopefully it just makes things a little bit easier in the transition, I guess, going through that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the Lions have proved to us that they can handle a lot. I mean, it's been a brilliant last couple of years, but of course, this leads on to our first main talking point is about the loss of coordinators. Now you've seen both your offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson go to the Chicago Bears as a head coach, and also defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as being hired as a New York Jets head coach. It could be seen as a bitter blow. Now we've seen some teams lose people on the OC or DC side of thing, and they're absolutely fine. You think about the Niners losing out on or letting Robert Saleh ironically go to the Jets. And then DeMeco Ryans came in and also did well and had a great, and the defense didn't really miss too many beats. But then fast forward to what happened last year once DeMeco Ryans was gone, and I know they made the Super Bowl in the first year, but last season was terrible. And we see other teams who will lose coordinators and they won't perform well. So sounds like an obvious thing to say, but it could go one or two ways. It really could, because we've seen, Dave Canales do great work with the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Liam Cohen comes in, does an arguably even better job than Dave Canales did. So there's definitely that worry. Now, there's the next man up mentality, and it could well be just because one guy is leaving, it could mean that the next guy is just as good. But how are you feeling about the loss of Ben Johnson, the loss of Aaron Glenn, and sort of how you think that might affect, either in a good way or bad way, the upcoming season for the Lions?
Yeah. I mean, losing Ben Johnson was a weird one because obviously the guy is very, very, very smart, very, very, very good at coordinating an offense. But you will have heard me throughout last season say I think he's a fantastic coordinator. I don't think he's a fantastic head coach, and the qualities he seems to have, to me, just don't scream head coach. Whereas on the other side of the ball, I've been screaming and saying Aaron Glenn is not a good coordinator. However, the qualities he has are of a fantastic head coach. He's motivational. He gets you to want to play for him. But as far as some of the intricacies of the game go, mate, I was pulling my hair out on so many occasions over the past 4 years saying, come on, Aaron Glenn, do something different. We need to do something. We need to move this. We need to try that. Ben Johnson was, as much as, again, you can say he's very, very smart, very good at his job. It's not like there weren't things we were also getting frustrated with. We didn't see J-Mo get enough of the ball. Yes, he had a 1,000-yard season last season, but we just weren't seeing him put in positions where he could be a true threat unless you were doing the end arounds. J-Mo was a last resort that Goff just had to kind of fling up and hope that J-Mo was somewhere there. You kind of want... we've always wanted and said that, like, look, he's got the speed, he's got the ability to run the route. Let him run these routes. Let him have a go at trying to take apart some of the safeties and the DBs who were playing further back. And by the sounds of it, John Morton's come in and he's brought right up to JMO and gone, you're running more routes this year. We're going to get you on loads of different more plays and you're going to be further up the progression chart as plays get made. We thought that Jahmyr Gibbs, as fantastic as he is, just wasn't getting utilised enough in the right places. You could have got him more involved in the passing game, in some of the short and intermediate routes, when things were tough in those games. Like when we play the Bucks, it's always so tough in that area of the field. Get Jahmyr Gibbs involved. John Morton's come in and said, Jahmyr Gibbs, you are getting more involved in the passing game in that general area of the field. There are frustrations with things like they're getting too cute in the red zone, and he's got a one-track mind. If this is how he wants to put the ball in the end zone, this is how we're going to put the ball in the end zone. And we've had these complaints. Granted, when it works, and it often did work, and he made it work, it was fantastic. But when it didn't, it was so frustrating. By the sounds of it, John Morton, who was with the Lions in 2022, was one of our offensive analysts and pass game coordinators, just went off to the Broncos for 2 years, and look what he's just done with Bo Nix. There. It spells to me that he knows the system, he knows the offense that Dan Campbell wants to run, because I don't think Dan Campbell is this meathead that everyone thinks he is. Dan Campbell is very smart. He knows what he's doing. John Morton can come in and definitely make improvements to the offensive side of the ball, do things a bit differently. But I don't think it's an overhaul. It's not a brand new playbook that the offense have got to learn. It's not all these brand new intricate details. It's just let's see what we've done and how can we do that better. Whether that works or not, I don't know. And on the defensive side of the ball, Kelvin Shepherd been banging the table for him for 2 years. When Aaron Glenn leaves, this man needs to be next. And again, it's out there. I've been saying this. It's public information. Like many Lions fans, again, he's someone that's been in the regime now for a few years. He's learned from Aaron Glenn. So you're not talking someone who's going to rock the boat. You're not someone who's walking in going, here's a brand new scheme, learn everything different. This is let's take what we had and let's see how we can do it better, which is always a much better place to go at it over reinventing the wheel, per se.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, particularly about Aaron Glenn, because I think whilst he did a good job with the Lions, and I think that he was definitely had a big part to play in the Lions' success over the last, year or two. But let's not forget, he's been head coach before in the NFL, and it wasn't a good time. He didn't have a good spell previously, the head coach, and people were clamoring for him to get into the job. And it reminds me of a lot of Josh McDaniels. Had a terrible time with the Broncos, then came back to the Patriots, had another good time there, and then people were clamoring him for being head coach again. And I kept saying to people, did no one see how he was the first time? Now, I thought before my time, but I've seen the record he had, and people were for years saying he should be the next head coach, he should be Belichick's replacement, he should be this, should be that, and we saw what happened at the Raiders. It was a really awful time. He was terrible, the Raiders, and Glenn, and I can't remember which team it was he coached before as a head coach, but I think, yeah. We've seen Pete Carroll have a bad time with the Patriots and then become Seahawks head coach, have a good time. That's when he had multiple years in the college game. I believe, was it USC or Stanford he was with? You'll know more than me, Fletch. He had his time in college. He won then, had that experience of coaching at that role. And Glenn, I think I don't see personally him making too many moves, great sort of big moves in Jets. I think he'll be potentially one of those 3-year and you're out sort of head coaches. I don't believe he'll be the guy to change the franchise. I think, sadly, for Jets fans, there's probably a lot more than just a head coach that needs to change in that franchise. But I think it's exciting times. I think one thing you can be excited about, which, one thing that was a massive hindrance on your season last year down the stretch was the injuries. And of course, you will be getting Aidan Hutchinson back. He was, for me personally, he was the best defensive player in the league those first 6 weeks. Watching that game in London, I leave there on my National Express home, and I find out that Aidan Hutchinson has got injured and obviously missed the rest of the season. He was indicating that he was going to play in the Super Bowl, but obviously never got to that point where he had to think about that. So he's back, and how exciting is that? And do you think he could even go as far as winning not only comeback player of the year, but also defensive player of the year? I don't think I've ever seen a player in both in the same year. I could be wrong. But how excited are you for this to happen then, to have Hutchinson back on the team?
Hutch being back works on about a few different levels that makes Lions fans excited. And again, Michigan born, Michigan bred, Michigan man, went to Michigan, plays for the Lions. He's someone that fans absolutely love. And he might, even if he wasn't as good as he is, the fans love him anyway. And it's just glad to have him back as a person. He's a fantastic young man. God, I feel old saying stuff like that now. But he is, in comparison to me, a young man. But he's a crack. He really is. He's absolutely brilliant. But then you add onto it the footballing stuff, which obviously is secondary to being a fantastic human being. But it's so needed to have someone of that caliber. It's so rare to have someone of what I believe is that truly that caliber, and what we saw throughout the first 7 weeks of last season. First 6-7 weeks of that last season, someone of that caliber on the defensive line. Only a handful of teams will ever get them over in any year. You've got your Myles Garrett's, your TJ Watts, your Micah Parsons of the world. Only a few of them exist in the NFL at any given time. And I truly believe that on his day, he's up there in that conversation with every single one of them. Really hope he hits the ground running. We're all expecting him to have you should be expecting to have at least a game day ramp up period where he maybe isn't as hot coming out of it straight away. But if he can hit the form he did last season, even if it's after a game or two, look at the wrecking ball phase he was on. He was. I don't think it was until like week 9, if not week 10, that someone overtook him as the sack leader in the league. If you go on a wrecking season like that, I don't see any reason why he can't be winning Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, that's a massive if. He has to hit that kind of form, which is not extremely common to see. But if he does, absolutely. And if someone comes on a wrecking ball train like that after an injury, I mean, who else? Who else could there be, and what would they have to do to then win Comeback Player of the Year over that? I don't know.
I think a lot of times as well, it comes down to a lot of the times when it comes to the voting, who's been on TV more, because that grabs more people's attention.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're on TV more, it means you're a good team. And I think with the Lions winning 15 games last year, a lot more TV games. If you have another 14, 15-win season, and Hutchinson has the season he's having last year before the injury, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't get it. Now, I know the award has gone to quarterbacks a lot. The last one to non-quarterback to win it was Keenan Allen back in 2017. So, you look at the likes of Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers. If he has a good year, I think that will get a lot of media attention, and therefore he'll get a lot of votes. I got a thing. I did a piece for the Touchdown where I talked about the 5 contenders for Comeback Player of the Year, and he was Hutchinson, one of them, because I think, if you win, I think a lot of times if you win 15, 14 games and you're having, a season like he could have in 2025, he will be, for me, a huge contender for that award. So, for me, I look at Dak. If the Cowboys are winning games, media attention is going to be on them, and he'll get the votes that way, especially if the Cowboys go against the grain of everyone's predictions and win 10, 11, 12 games. I think McCaffrey is the only other one really where you could look at it, because they got an easier schedule than other teams, the Niners. McCaffrey, when he's healthy, and has a season like he did before he got injured. 2023 season was arguably the best of his career. If he has that kind of season and the Niners win 12, 13 games, I think he'll be another guy that'll be, really up for that award. But there's probably someone else who's not even thought about that's going to surprise everyone and come through, or come out of retirement to play, or something like that. There's someone else that could, that will break through the net and surprise everyone and be a contender for the award. But I would be, I wouldn't be shocked if it was one of, Hutchinson, Dak, or McCaffrey.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and I was like, what is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Oh, being on the Jets, it's fine. That's enough of a handicap. I hope we can give him something for that.
Yeah, and I just think as well, the kind of age he's at, and everyone said he was done, and if they can win, which I don't think will happen, if they win 12 games, 11 games, or something like that, then I think he could be someone that could do it. But we will see. So let's move on to our next segment, which is going to be win, lose, or tie. So in this section, for those new listeners or new viewers, each fan who comes on predicts their team's record by going through each game and answering with a win, loss, or tie. Now, Fletch, you came on a year ago for this exact episode previewing the 2024 season. Now, you predicted, the Lions went 15-2 in 2024. Do you by chance remember what your prediction was 12 months ago?
Was it 12-5?
Oh, you were so close, 13-4. So you a 2-win margin off your prediction. So it's not bad. It's not bad. I think even though a lot of people had the Lions winning the NFC North, a lot of people had them winning the NFC, making the Super Bowl, I don't think 15 wins was really thought about.
No.
But no, I mean, amazing division. 3 teams win the playoffs. The Vikings had the unwanted record of being the first team in history to have 14 wins and not win their division, which, I feel bad for sorry for them, but then do I feel sorry for them? It is what it is. So week 1, speaking of the NFC North, you were on the road at Lambeau Field as you take on. You were on the road to the Green Bay Packers. Aaron, win, lose, or tie?
Oh, I hate this game. I hate this game already. I'm gonna get hate for this, but I think it's a loss.
Okay. Week 2 is your home opener. Week 2 is your home opener as you host the Chicago Bears.
Give me Dan Campbell, John Martin to make a point, rub it right in the faces of the Chicago Bears, and Ben Johnson. Give me a win at home for that one, please.
Okay, so then week 3, you're going from the NFC North to the AFC North as you travel to the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm sadly taking a loss there as well.
Okay, so week 4, you are hosting the Cleveland Browns.
That's a win. Very, very confident win.
Yeah, I think Browns won't be doing too much, I don't think, in 2025. Week 5, once again, an AFC North opponent as you travel to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Now, this one's going to be fun. I think if you want a game all season which could end up in a similar ilk to, say, the Lions-Bills last year, hopefully it's not one team runs away with it and the other one just catches up a little bit, but one that goes toe-to-toe. Given that they don't have a defense, I'm gonna give a Lions win for this one. Close one, though. Very close.
I think it's going to be an offensive shootout. I think it's going to be a great game. And for those who are listening to this podcast or watching it and you are attending the Browns against the Vikings game in London, this is on at 9:25 p.m. So you can watch the game in Tottenham and you can leave the stadium, head down to your nearest sports bar, and that'll be something you can watch. I don't know whether that's the one on TV they'll show on Sky. I don't have the fixtures to hand right now, the week 5 games.
Well, yeah, that won't get announced until much closer to the time anyway. But if the Bengals, if it's Joey B and the Lions look how the Lions should, that's got to be the Sky game. I need to have a look at the fixtures, what will be on at that same time, but I don't think there'd be another fixture coming close to that one.
So I've got the fixtures up now, and if I'm honest, there's two contenders, or maybe three. It doesn't depend on how the season starts. If there's a team that shocked everyone, or two teams, and they're doing well, like for example, Titans Cardinals, that's one of the later games. You can see that one, and I always forget that the game's actually on at 2:30, not 6 for the London game. So
London,
it'll be on well after the game finishes. But it's actually an exciting Thursday night game. You got Niners at Rams, but looking at the 9 o'clock slate, you've got Titans at Cardinals, Buccaneers at Seahawks. Then the two I think will be the contenders for Sky will be Lions at Bengals or the Commanders at Chargers. So
yeah,
I think the James Daniels and the kind of hype around them right now. Justin Herbert, everyone loves Justin Herbert on the media. So yeah, I think what will be on Sky or Channel 5, whichever way you want to watch it. I think this one's going to be really exciting for those who do end up watching it on TV. Week 6, which some think could be a Super Bowl preview, as you travel to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Give me a win.
Oh,
Arrowhead.
Love that. I absolutely love that. Week 7, you're taking on Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home.
Again, this is a really tough one to cut. I hate playing the Bucs. I absolutely hate playing the Bucs, and I hate playing Baker Mayfield because they give us such a good game. Give us a very sneaky, very sloppy win.
Okay, so week 8, you've got a bye week. So then in week 9, you host the Minnesota Vikings.
Give us a win.
Okay, so then week 10 is a rematch, but this time on the road against a team that broke your heart in the divisional round last year as you travel to the Washington Commanders.
To the Commanders, loss.
Okay, so then it's amazing this schedule, actually. I don't know whether they planned this on purpose or not, but you've got this will now be you're coming up in week 11 against the against the Philadelphia Eagles before a game against the Giants in week 12. That's 3 games in a row against NFC East teams. And earlier in the season, you had 3 games in a row against AFC North teams. So I don't know whether there's it's planned or whether it's just coincidence, but yeah, it's mad to have 3 games in a row on 2 different occasions in the same season against the same division opponents. That's I've never seen that before on a schedule.
So Eagles, are we kind of remember? Are we at home or on the road against the Eagles? We're at home.
On the road to the Eagles and at home to the Giants.
Give us 2 wins. I'll tell you what. Go on, we'll lose to the Commanders, we'll lose to the Packers, and we'll lose to the Ravens, but we'll beat the NFC Championship. In fact, we'll beat the No, sorry, that's a lie. We'll beat the Super Bowl in the season. Give me one of those games again that somehow we just seem to match up really well against them. John Martin comes up with a really good scheme. Tyreek Williams has a welcome to the NFL day. Absolutely blows up Saquon Barkley, who will go for 20 rushes for 40 yards or something daft like that. And give us a win against the Eagles and then an absolute beating the living snot out the Giants.
Well, week 13, you mentioned the Packers before. You're playing them this time at home. I believe that's a Thanksgiving game. Win, lose, or tie.
Win. We've broken the Thanksgiving Day curse. We're at home. Thanksgiving. Give us a win.
And then week 14, we are, as we're now doing for every episode, giving one fixture a nickname, something bold. So week 14, you are playing the Dallas Cowboys in the reverse pass interference call bowl.
I'd also like to just as a backup name, just in case the reverse pass interference bowl is taken somewhere, which I imagine it would be. It's such a fantastic name. Is the ineligible ineligible receivable. Although I don't like that name and it still hurts. Give us a win. Give us a win. And at the end of the game, Micah Parsons will walk over to Dan Campbell and go, "Come get me, bro. Please. Please, I want to come to Detroit." That's going to happen.
It's interesting whether he'll still be there in week 14 because some players do hand in trade requests and then they end up staying. But then some players do naturally leave as well. So I kind of think with how Jerry Jones has acted as well, I don't see any repairing there between the two. And I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think come week 14 he'll be a Dallas Cowboys player. So
yeah. There's that, or Micah Parsons walks over to Jerry Jones while wearing Honolulu blue and says, "Have it, lad."
So week 14, you are traveling on the road to SoFi Stadium and taking on the Los Angeles Rams.
Again, another game that I hate the game. The Stafford Bowl. The Stafford Golf Bowl.
The Golf Stafford Trade Bowl, yeah.
That does sound like a potential bowl game, like a college football bowl game, the Golf Stafford Trade Bowl.
It actually does. It actually does.
It was a sloppy loss.
Okay, so then week 16, you are taking on at home the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let's that and Kirby Joseph to pick off his son twice in the game. Aidan Hutchinson to send Aaron Rodgers into retirement right at the end. And the Lions walk away, I believe, 12-4 is the record going into.
No, it'd be 11-4 going into the final two games.
That's the one. Yeah.
And speaking of which, that was actually your final home game of the regular season. So you got 2 road games to finish off the year. First up, against the Minnesota Vikings at the US Bank Stadium.
That's an unfortunate loss.
Okay, so in final week 18, always a hard week to predict because of people being rested potentially. But you are on the road, Soldier Field, against the Bears.
Doing the double over Ben Johnson. Give us a win.
So there we are. So that means your predictions means you'll finish with a 12-5 record, which easily gets you in the playoffs, maybe even as division winners if the team sort of beat themselves and sort of almost cannibalize the division. How far are you going in the postseason? Should you have that record?
I don't think that we win the division. I think the NFC North is going to be really, really tough this year. I think the Vikings take it. And I genuinely, every year I kind of want to be a homer, and I really do, but I also want to be reasonable and say that there are, like, as much as I don't think the change is going to be detrimental, I do think the changes are going to take a minute to get used to. It's going to be a learning curve, no matter what. And the division has got better. So the Vikings will take the division. They'll get the home playoff game. But I think they'll only go 13-4 or something. It'll be close. We'll get the first wild card seed. So the fifth will be the 5th seed. But I tell you what, I will give you this one. You can clip this one. You can quote me on it at the end of the year. Do what you want with it. I'll give you your piece. We'll go into the Super Bowl. We're going in as the underdogs. Well, I say the underdogs. We're going in as the chip on your shoulder. We didn't win the division. We'll go and play the worst of the 4 in the division leaders. Probably going to be from the NFC West. Not because they're a bad team, just because it's a tough division and wins are well shared in that division. So probably end up being the Rams or something. We'll go kick them a little bit. And give us going to the Super Bowl.
And if you get there, who do you think you'll play first of all? And are you going to win this game?
Bills.
That'll be for neutral. I personally wouldn't like the Bills being in the Super Bowl, but for neutral, that's great because you would get both teams trying to get their first Super Bowl. So either way, whoever wins, you're getting a brand new winner.
Yeah.
But no, I'd rather see the Bengals than than the Bills make the Super Bowl if you want first time.
I don't want to go. Unfortunately, I don't. Well, I say unfortunately, I don't think the Chiefs will do it this year. There's only so many times they can be that they can. There's only so many times they can. They have to have at least one down year where they don't quite. The Bills or the Ravens. I think it's this year. One of them will kind of take the ball by the horns and I guess run with it a little bit. For my family's sake, I hope it's the Ravens because my little brother's a Bills fan. So that won't feed families. That'll break one up. But in terms of what I think will be a good matchup, I don't think we match up against the Ravens well. I think everything they do well is things that we struggle on, and their coaching is ever so slightly, but it's better than ours. So last time we played them, we got outcoached, outplayed all game. You were at the game, I believe, weren't you?
Yes, Thanksgiving game.
Bounced out. No, it wouldn't have been because it was at the Ravens.
Sorry, Ravens. Yes, yeah, that was.
That's
probably. I think I
ran off the field.
The best quarterback performances I've seen in person. I think about Sean Watson in London for the Texans against the Jags. Sorry to bring his name up. I think about potentially Mahomes against the Raiders, where he threw 4 touchdown passes to Kelsey. Or I look at that Lamar Jackson. That probably is the one.
Yeah.
I think, he just absolutely... It was a clinic. I think it was just one where you kind of go into this game, both teams are 4-1 or 5-1, whatever it is. You go into the game really excited. I remember getting on that coach from Philadelphia to Baltimore, really excited about what was to come. And I thought I was going to get a really good match. And it was such a clinic that I had to leave anyway before the game ended because I was going to another game the same day, Philadelphia against the Dolphins. And it was so one-sided that I left the fourth quarter with about 6 minutes left. I didn't miss a single point being scored. The score that was there when I left the stadium was the final score. So, Lamar Jackson was just sensational in that game.
He was. And I said, but we got outplayed, outcoached every single time. It's unfortunate. It's just one of those. Sometimes you have a team, no matter how good you are, you just don't match up well against them. You can't be good at everything, stopping everything and everything. So it's just one of them. I'd rather have the Bills. I think we can match up better against them. But in terms of how it'd be as a game, but for the sake of my dear old mother and father, it's probably going to have to be the Ravens.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean because I've seen us have 2 back-to-back playoff seasons, and we still can't beat the Bills. And they could be on a bad run of form, we could be on a good run of form. Whatever happens, they just always beat us. I think that's the case in a lot of sports, to be honest. But I think certainly, that would be either way, I think an exciting matchup if it was.
Yeah.
Lions involved because you have that thing of, they could win their first Super Bowl. Moving on, though, to our final section, which is going to be Fan Asks Fan. So a brand new segment on this year's edition of the off-season season previews. Each fan that comes on asks a question to our next guest, whilst also answering a question from our previous guest. So our last guest was in our Panthers season preview, and this was our guest, Keg from the Magpie channel. He wants to ask you, Fletch, if you can't include your current team's quarterback, who is the best quarterback in your team's history?
In the team's history, it would have to be probably it would be Matt Stafford. It's undeniably Matt Stafford. I don't think much needs to be said on that. It's Matthew Stafford. If I do have to say something, look at every record that within the Lions franchise for passing yards, for touchdowns, all held by Matt Stafford, because and what most people fail to realize is, yes, he's damn good at the Rams at that age. But he was that damn good at the Lions. He was just failed by the organisation consistently for 13 nearly years. If we'd have been able to put a quarter, other than Megatron, other than Calvin Johnson, if we'd have put one more genuine piece of talent around him, given him more than one good defense one year, he'd have won a Super Bowl in Detroit because he's that good.
And I think he proved that going to a new team, win something first year. I think the only one I thought maybe if you wanted to go alternative to Matt Stafford, maybe Bobby Lane for his sort of impact before the Super Bowl era began, and I think the impact he's had on the team for maybe not a good way, the curse of Bobby Lane.
I was gonna say the man cursed us.
Did you see? There's a video resurfaced from great series was Peyton's Places, where
Jeff Daniels.
They did like a little ritual, didn't they, on the field? And literally, ever since that came out, the lines of reaching being a number one seed should have probably made the Super Bowl, and then they could do it this year. So, in a way, we saw with another one of your teams, the Yaya Toure birthday cake curse got lifted, and then what happened a few months later? He won the Champions League. So, I myself, I'm a big believer in curses, and I do believe that. I do believe that Bobby Lane curse maybe has been lifted to some extent. Obviously, you haven't won anything yet, but certainly it does seem ever since that moment happened, the whole franchise just turned around its fortune completely. Right, for our final part of the show, Aaron, I'm going to give you the chance to ask our next guest a question.
Okay, so mine is, if you could visit any NFL stadium that isn't your own team's, which one would you like to visit and why?
Nice. I love that. I love that a lot. I can't think what my answer would be. I know what my answer would be. It'd be Lambeau Field. But I'm intrigued to know what our next guest answers in our next team season preview. And this is where we will end the episode for today.
Can I ask you one question on that one?
Go for it.
You've not been to a college game yet, other than the Aviva Stadium, Dublin. Is there a particular college stadium you'd really like to see, even if it's a historic one like the Rose Bowl or something?
Yeah, very easy. Ohio State, which you probably might not want to hear, but that stadium is unbelievable. I do obviously want to go to a Gators game, and they're all just out. A lot of them just absolutely massive. So whether it's Georgia. I mean, I will say one thing I love to go watch is the Texas Longhorns because of the ball that comes on at the start of the game. See Matthew McConaughey in the flesh, and there was one as well. I saw it I watched a YouTuber I like watching, Wyatt's World. He played college football, and there was a team. I don't know who. It might be Tulane. It was a team where basically behind one of the end zones is like a college campus. You can see like the classic one you see on films. That's. I think it was Tulane. Maybe they were playing on the road on Madden, on College Football 25. So I don't know who the team was, but I'd love to know who it was because that looked quite unique. And there's actually a great thread by friend of the show, Simon Cowell, who is my boss. And he did a thread of every single college stadium. I think about 2 years ago. Amazing detail put into it. So I would say, those kind of stadiums, I think. Some are just really impressive, and just some random places, really small teams, they still have amazing stadiums.
Yeah, technically, you have been to 5 college football stadiums. Technically, so 5 college football teams share a home stadium with an NFL team. So you've got Pitt share with this, Hard Rock, University of Miami play at Hard Rock. Temple University play at Lincoln Financial with the Eagles. Pittsburgh, I don't think that's a difficult one for someone to put together. USF play at Raymond James for Tampa. And what was the 5th one?
It's not Dallas. It's not Dallas, is it? TCU?
It's not. It's there were 5. Damn it! I literally was talking about this yesterday. Pitt, Temple, USF, Miami, and
Cardinals, Rams, Bills, Ravens. Who else? Browns, Bengals, Chargers, Rams.
It'll come to me. It'll come to me. I'll remind you.
Yeah,
I'll message you later when it comes to me.
But yeah,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Fletch, first of all, and you're doing some great work at a Sleep at Work podcast. Tell the audience what's to look forward to on the show in the next few weeks.
Yeah, so obviously we're really picking up on the AAW network. We're picking up on the college football. Well, picking up on it. We've been doing it all year round, but it's really, really picking up now. We're doing conference previews in just over a week. We'll be doing our week 0 preview, which means like a preview of a real game that's happening within a couple of days. So we're very, very, very excited. It's all kicking off there. Hurdle the Line are really picking up, ready for the season, and we're really excited going to wrap up the off season with Hurdle the Line and go into the season with them. We've got a fantasy football pod up and coming on its way, and the Patriots Touchback, who are now with us as well. They are obviously picking up and getting ready for the New England Patriots season. So there's a lot happening, a lot to do. You follow the AAW network on the socials, or you can obviously follow myself, Lions Guy Fletch, because I'm just here talking Lions and Michigan, and I'm in such a good mood because football is so close that I believe I'm a good follow at the moment. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, you've heard the hashtags, you've heard the taglines. Get following this man and all the work that he does. But this has been the Across the Pod NFL Podcast 2025 Detroit Lions season preview. I have been, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, and our guest today in Fletch. And we'll see you guys for our next team's season preview. See you then.